Hey everybody, Bobby Emmer here. Welcome to the Power of Connection broadcast. This is my broadcast I'm now doing every week, Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so today we're going to talk about thought leadership branding and why it's important. And this has come up a lot in my work in the last 6 months, particularly when it comes to talking about personal branding, talking about LinkedIn content, talking about relationship building, and talking about Clubhouse. And so this is a chance for you to kind of join me and share questions and comments below, and let me know what I'll share my thoughts and stuff, but I want to get you to kind of share your thoughts and comments below. And this will be kind of Ask Me Anything. I see there's Bernardo. Hello, Bernard. Good to see you. Good evening. And we are ready to rock here, right? I'm excited about this. So good to have you all here. And first off, if you're joining us for the Power Connection broadcast and you haven't seen this before, we like to engage people. So comment below. Let me know where you're from. Are you coming from North America, South America, Africa, Asia, Europe, Australia, Antarctica? Let me know. And also ask a question. And certain question, ask yourself, define for me what thought leadership means to you. Define for me what personal branding means to you. Tell me why thought leadership is important to you in your career. Type that below. If you like what you're hearing, you can like, clap, hand, heart, light bulb, smiley face, all that kind of stuff. And you can share your comments. But I really want questions. This is kind of an Ask Me Anything where you can ask me anything. Now, I'm going to break it down for you in terms of how I look at thought leadership. Thought leadership for me is broken down into 3 key areas. If you look at any thought leader that's out there, what are they doing to build thought leadership? Number 1, relationship building. They're building deep relationships, they're building broad relationships, and they're building followers, people who follow them. The relationship building piece is a big part of thought leadership branding. Number 2, innovation, new ideas, and content. So they're constantly creating new ideas, they're constantly innovating, they're constantly driving the conversation, and they're creating content. So someone like Gary Vaynerchuk is doing new videos. Oprah Winfrey is doing new books. Jay-Z or Beyonce is doing new songs, and that's what they're doing to kind of build that thought leadership brand. So what are you doing in terms of that? And the third piece of thought leadership branding is the whole idea of speaking and writing. So communication skills. So speaking, writing, storytelling, all these people. Again, Gary's doing videos. Warren Buffett's doing financial reports. Beyonce's writing songs and music. And so these are people are doing this to drive their thought leadership brand out there. And so no matter what area of business you're in, whether you're in real estate, cybersecurity, you're a coach, you're a fitness trainer, the way for you to build a thought leadership brand is to do those 3 things. Always be building relationships, always be innovating, driving new ideas, and always creating content, and always be working on your storytelling, speaking, and writing skills. I see Sean's here. Hey, Bobby from Milton, Canada. Welcome. Good to see you. Glad you guys are joining us. And again, and I see, right, and Bernard is saying, yeah, nice, know your niche. And beyond the whole idea of thought leadership branding is if you know your niche, you can micro niche to a point where you become a thought leader in that field, in that niche for that clear target. And that's when the magic happens because you're clear and focused on your brand. You're clear and focused on your target audiences and how you help them. And that's when the magic happens. I see Sanjay's here also coming in from Toronto. Thank you very much for joining the broadcast. Again, if you like what you're hearing, you can share this on your own pages. You can also tag people, join the conversation. But I'm going to talk about thought leadership branding as relates to content, LinkedIn, and Clubhouse. I'm also going to answer any question you have on thought leadership branding. And the reason I bring it up is because throughout the entire COVID situation, I've had about 400 phone calls and Zoom calls and FaceTime calls and Microsoft Team calls with people to find out what's going on with them. And most people are in a period of transition or pivoting. Hey, howdy, Diana from Melbourne, Australia. Good eye. Good to see you. I love Diana. I'm glad she's here. So over the last year, I've been talking to hundreds of people, and certain things are coming up. People are pivoting or perishing in their businesses. And I personally can relate to that because my speaking industry kind of shifted significantly. And then after that, I moved into coaching and online programs. Number 2, people are trying to get better at the virtual world. So they want to ramp up their website, their blog site. They want to ramp up their LinkedIn profiles. They want to ramp up their online presence on YouTube, on Instagram, Clubhouse, LinkedIn, Twitter, you name it, Facebook. They're trying to build that up. And that's why, again, thought leadership branding means a lot to them. They're thinking about their personal brand in terms of how it affects their target audience, how it affects their brand out there in the world, whether it's in corporate, whether it's in a nonprofit, whether it's an academic or something else. So from a personal standpoint. And so people are thinking about that trend, and people are career transitioning. They're like, I don't like my job anymore, or I don't feel aligned anymore, or maybe I want to try to do something different. This whole pandemic has given us a lot of time to reflect on who we are, where we are, what's important to us, and what matters. And so because of that, people are now trying to think about what are they going to do next. They want to either ramp up their career to that next level, they want to switch careers to something else, they want to start that side hustle and grow that side hustle, or they want to actually take their current business and pivot, or what they're doing and try to take that to that next level. And that's where thought leadership branding comes into place. And let me break it down for you. There's thought leadership, which is and leadership and personal branding. Personal branding is a tool to help give you clarity and focus on who you are, what your superpowers are, what your niche is, and who your target audience is, and how you actually help them in the most powerful way. Leadership is about evolving, growing, and learning yourself. A better you is a better everything else. To develop yourself, to evolve, grow, and change and influence the world or your teams or society. And then thought leadership is about being the one that's noteworthy in that field, the one that everyone respects, the one that everyone follows, that everyone talks about. And so, my goal is to help people with that, to turn them from lost leaders, because, I thought I had a whole career where I felt lost in 4 different careers, and turn them into thought leaders. And so about a month ago, I ran a thought leadership 5-day challenge. And what happened was we had it was free, and I did 5 days of, hourly content. And I went through the entire process of what is involved with thought leadership branding. We talked about mindset and confidence, fears, doubts, and imposter syndrome. We talked about personal branding as a tool for clarity, focus, and impact. We talked about content development, whether it's video content, text-based content, image-based content across different social media platforms. We talked about how to use LinkedIn. We talked about storytelling. We talked about everything you can do to take that brand, and we talked about relationship building, meaningful relationships, and how to take that to the next level. And we talked about how to actually, what holds us back. And so after that 5-day thought leadership program, we launched an 8-week thought leadership program, and now we have people in that program, and it's going really well. And we're taking them through our personal branding course, as well as now how to first step is to discover and understand your personal brand. Then we design and deliver on that thought leadership brand. That's the whole idea. Then so that's been going well. And then the other thing that I've been doing with Larry Call and Chris Colt is doing a Skyrocket Your Business Challenge. Again, 5-day challenge. These 5-day challenges are actually kind of fun. And a big part of what I talked about is every single person in this group is now working with us for the next 6 weeks to build a thought leadership brand, work on the storytelling, work on the revenue pathways, work on their micro niching and their movement marketing, and we're trying to take them to that next level. And if anyone wants more information about this, by all means, let me know. I see Claire is here. Hey, Claire. I see Christopher's here from Toronto. Awesome. Great to see you guys. I'm going to be here to answer any questions you have on Clubhouse, on LinkedIn, on thought leadership branding. I'm just talking about why thought leadership branding is so important, right? And I'll get into some of the things that I'm doing to try to build it up. So now, what am I doing to build it up? First off, I'm running these movement marketing 5-day challenges. I'm doing a third 5-day challenge, if you can believe it. That's happening August 26th. So if anybody wants to know about that, just DM me. I'll share the link with you. But that's happening. In a couple of weeks. And nice seeing you still doing your thing. Well, Chris, the reason why I'm back doing more videos. In fact, here's my general plan to do 2 live streams per week. Actually, I'm doing one Sundays at 8:00, and I'm trying to do another one on Thursday. Hey, Danette, good to see you from Atlanta. So I'm doing one twice a week, and the reason is because I'm now in LinkedIn creator mode, and I'm testing creator mode to see how it works. So I'm doing more live streams. I'm doing more of my 1-minute videos. I'm doing a couple of 15-second videos. So if you go through my feed on my profile, you see all the things I've been testing with different things. And Kimberly Sim says, you're doing an awesome job across all platforms. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I fist bump. I appreciate that, Kimberly. So in terms of that, I explain how thought leadership works. If you have questions on what it is, what it means, why it's important, comment below. I'll answer your questions. So I'll answer any question you have for the next, how much time I got? 15 minutes, okay? 15, maybe 20 minutes. So there's that. So but by all means, talk to people in the feed, like this, network with each other, talk to each other, say hello. I mean, the feed is great here. And you guys, look at this, it's so nice. Like, by all means, talk to each other, have some fun. I think that's great. Be sure to network with one another. So now I'm going to talk about what I do on LinkedIn to build thought leadership. Then I'll move to Clubhouse, and then I'll talk about how I integrate the 3. So on LinkedIn, I mean, for me, ultimately it comes to, there's a 3-way arc, right? There's 3 things that happen to build your thought leadership brand. Number 1, you have to have a very solid profile, one that's kick-ass, people love, they get it, they see your cred, they see your abilities, they want to work with you. that the profile optimization is number one. Then the other piece is the idea of creating content. So now you're creating content that includes content on your own page where you're sharing and demonstrating your expertise in the niches that you care about. So what do I talk about? I talk about thought leadership branding. I talk about storytelling. I talk about personal branding. I talk about entrepreneurship. I talk about the power of connection. These are the things that I talk about. Those are my 5 hashtags that I talk about. And so you have to figure out what your key things are that you're going to talk about. So if I put content out there, I usually go twice a day now. And I vary up the content from video to text post to image and I mix it all, short, long, I mix it all up. So that's one thing I'm doing. The second thing I'm doing is I'm trying to comment on other people's posts. And that's also content too, because when I comment on your post, I'm again trying to share my expertise. I'm trying to build a relationship and start a conversation because content drives conversations. And then conversations will be in the DMs or they'll message me with an email. And next thing you know, I get on a Zoom call with someone like Diana or someone like Kimberly King. And next thing you know, we're doing some other really cool stuff. And so the whole idea of the conversation is to create that connection, which then leads to what I call community. A community of people who are working with me on content, on behind the scenes, on Clubhouse, on other initiatives like the leadership channels that I'm doing. And that's, again, how we create the opportunities that are going our way for everybody. Chris says, have you written any ebooks yet? Well, ebooks is one form of content. And the truth is, I've chosen video as my main content. I have 900 videos on my YouTube channel. I've done 500-600 videos on LinkedIn. I have a book on networking, but for me, ebooks. I have lots of downloadable PDFs that people get from me, so I have a lot of that kind of stuff in part of my funnel or people who sign up for my webinars. But ebooks for me is not my way. My way is video. I want to engage people live and in person. I want them to see my personality. And so for me, you gotta know your strengths. You gotta know what works for you. I mean, other people who are prolific writers, they have not only dozens of ebooks, they have dozens of books themselves. That for me is not my strength. You have to know what your path is for thought leadership branding, right? So for me, it's webinars, it's Clubhouse, it's live content, it's coaching, training, and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how I do it, all right? And again, if I see what you're liking and loving and hearting, that's great. But you have to know what your methodology is. I'm a speaker, so since I can't speak in the world, I'm going to speak here. I'm going to speak in my videos, and I'm going to speak on Clubhouse. So that's how I'm doing it with that's how I'm doing. And thank you, Lucy, for saying an amazing job. And Chris says, nice video marketing. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. So that's the way it was on LinkedIn. And then Clubhouse came along. And I saw Clubhouse. I joined Clubhouse on Christmas Eve. I started dabbling for several days. And then once I realized how impactful it was and how good it was, I decided to invest. I started the LinkedIn Mastery series. And we did that every day. And we've now we celebrated just yesterday 100 days of LinkedIn Mastery. Every day we do LinkedIn. And it's really great. And I really, really enjoy that. Hey, it looks like Dan's here. Hey, Dan, good to see you. So we do LinkedIn Mastery every day. And then I started a club called the Thought Leadership Branding Club. And then I invited people to create content in that club. I invited guest speakers and guest mods and lead mods in the LinkedIn Mastery programs. I started supporting all the different session leaders of the Thought Leadership Branding Club. And now the Thought Leadership Branding Club, 3 months in, has almost 9,000 members, 30 plus sessions happening weekly with over 60 to 70 moderators and co-moderators. And I now do a weekly coaching call with all the moderators to help them work on their brand, work on their moderation skills, and work on anything they need to do to become better. Because if they become better with delivering their club sessions, and the clubs have anything with thought leadership branding. So it could be leadership, it could be storytelling, communication skills, networking, you name it. Lots of people are doing some great clubs. And if you want to do a club in the Clubhouse, message me. But now we have almost 9,000 members, and that's a community that we built. And so, and thanks, Rebecca. Love LinkedIn Mastery. Great. And Dan Rather says, stay Heather Golden. Yeah, Heather Golden's awesome. I love the work that she's doing. So Clubhouse is another way that I'm using to build my thought leadership brand. And I will tell you a bit more about how I'm now integrating it. So now what I do, Clubhouse and LinkedIn are part of my integration strategy. And sorry, let me finish the Clubhouse piece. So the reason Clubhouse builds my thought leadership brand is because when I go in there and I deliver a session with excellence, or I coach people, or I host something, or I speak on stage, I'll talk about the things I've been doing. Like I'll talk about the fact I'm doing the 5-day thought leadership challenge. I'm doing the 5-day skyrocket your business challenge with Chris and Larry. I'm doing how to actually grow your club on Clubhouse training. And so when I do that, people then reach out to me and say, hey, when's this happening? usually on Instagram, and then I say, yeah, here it is, here's the link, and next thing you know, people are signing up, which is great. And so again, the reason why community is so important is when you care and you communicate effectively, when you care genuinely and you communicate effectively, you create a deep connection. And when you create a deep connection, you create a thriving community. And when you have a thriving community, that's when you create change. So Clubhouse on its own has been something to build my thought leadership brand. Now, the other part is the integration of these things. So now what I do in terms of building my thought leadership brand is I use LinkedIn for building a thought leadership brand, demonstrating expertise with my content and my profile and all that kind of stuff. I also use it for strategic networking with certain people that I want to network with. Then I bring them to Clubhouse, not all of them because it's not available everywhere, but I bring a lot of them to Clubhouse to deepen that connection. Because when you hear the authentic audible voice, the power of authentic audible voice plus the casual nature of being doing Clubhouse like while doing the dishes or going for a walk, versus this where I have to do a video and be in front of people. It's pretty powerful. And then what happens is I now reach out to people on Instagram because I find that reach out on Instagram, I get about a 70-80% response rate. And Rebecca said she did both challenges. That's great, Rebecca. Thanks. So Rebecca did the 5-day thought leadership challenge, which I'm going to do again in 2 weeks. And she did the 5-day skyrocket your business challenge. Thanks, Rebecca. I appreciate that. So what I find now is people respond more to Instagram messages. Even Daniel Roth, editor-in-chief of LinkedIn, responded to my message on Instagram before he responded my in-mail on LinkedIn. When I send a message on LinkedIn, I usually get about 20-30% response rate. When I send on Instagram, it's 70-80%. That's amazing. And so I encourage you all to be using Instagram for the DMs, because I've been able to DM people even with like 1 million followers and they respond back, which is great. So Instagram, I think, is really good for that. And then at Twitter, I use for promotion. Same with Facebook. I promote my rooms. I promote the thought leadership branding stuff. I promote my storytelling, TEDx talks, all that kind of stuff. And so that's how it's all integrated into building a thought leadership brand for myself. So that's kind of what I'm doing. And so the reason I'm here is because I want to tell you what I'm doing, but I also want to be here to, give you an opportunity to ask me questions. You can ask me questions about LinkedIn, content strategy, profile optimization, thought leadership branding. You can ask me about how I reach out on Instagram or what I do there. You can also ask me a question on Clubhouse and how to make it work for yourself. Clubhouse now has monetization. So now when I do a room, people can actually scroll to my profile and give me like a $5, $10, $20 tip or buy me a cup of coffee, which is kind of cool. That's a new thing. And I haven't released that yet. I'm going to start dabbling with that a little bit more this week to see how it works. I'm not sure how effective it is because I think that most people are on there. I'm not sure they want to really do that. I think they want to get involved with more intensive workshops, and they're more willing to do that offline. I've been able to take people on Clubhouse and LinkedIn and bring them to my workshops and my challenges that are offline, like via Zoom call. I think that works to me a lot better for the most part. But again, everyone has their own ways of doing things, whether it's email marketing or webinar marketing or not. But that's kind of what I'm doing. So if you have a question on Clubhouse, you have a question on how to grow your club. If you want to, start a session in the club, I can give you tips on that too. But that's why I'm here. So I'm willing to take for another 5-10 minutes questions you might have. Otherwise, I'm going to stop and enjoy the rest of my evening, go back to my kids. But I wanted to share, why thought leadership branding is so important. Well, personal branding is important because it provides you, and people think personal branding is all about, creating a strong reputation, which it is, and being known. But what the secret of personal branding is that it provides you clarity and focus. Clarity on who you are, what you bring to the table, and a focus on the key target audience you want to serve. And that comes through in your brand profile, it comes through in your messaging, in your content, and it comes through in the relationships that you build. And so that clarity, focus, which then leads to an alignment and impact. So, and when you have clarity, focus, and alignment, that's when you have the impact that you want when you put it out there. That's why personal branding is important. Now, leadership is important because you need to evolve and grow as a person. So whether you're an entrepreneur or a corporate person or an academic, you have to actually build yourself and work on yourself all the time. Ali Bernard said, your word is your brand. I'm going to say your story is your brand is your story. But you're right, your word is your brand too. And so when you work on that story and work on that brand, that's part of your journey is evolving yourself as a person. That's what leadership's all about. Leadership is evolving and growing yourself to become better so that you can influence yourself and others and your team and groups and society and the world to make a difference. And then thought leadership is taking that personal brand where your personal brand is where they say, it's what they say about you when you're not in the room. Thought leadership brand is what they say when you enter the room. They're like, oh, there's that person who's always talking about this, or always talking about that, or who's known for this, right? So the idea is that thought leadership is about setting yourself apart, micro-niching yourself, and really, really creating a brand for yourself that is stellar and memorable and one that people will follow. Memorability and followership is a defining quality of knowing people who are thought leaders in their field. And and I know you can't call yourself a thought leader, but you can still get people to call you a thought leader, which is great. But building that thought leadership brand or niche in your field will go a long way. And so that's why it's so important, because if you're trying to get that promotion to that next level, if you're trying to get to a career that's going to make you so happy, if you're trying to build that business and get those leads you want to grow, if you're trying to start that digital marketing strategy that's going to impact people and really resonate and start building awareness and conversations and eventually connections and conversions, thought leadership branding is where it is. And thought leadership branding is the umbrella under which I talk about personal branding, leadership, entrepreneurship, storytelling, connection, meaningful conversations. And so for me, thought leadership branding is the umbrella, and everything that I talk about is all underneath. And that's why I've set up the Thought Leadership Branding Club and Clubhouse. That's why I have the 5-day Thought Leadership Branding program. And the other part, of course, is mindset, confidence, like imposter syndrome. Taking all my clients through that is so important to kind of get to that next level. So, and a lot of people, they don't want to do the work, or they're afraid, and people are too afraid to start, and it's a challenge for them. But I'm telling you that if you're willing to put in the work, that's when the magic happens. But you have to put in the work. It doesn't come overnight. It takes time, right? Like people are like, can I be a thought leader in five days? No, it takes some time. I mean, the fastest I've done for somebody was 6 weeks, but that's because it was super micro niched and no one else was doing it. And she was a hustler that did a lot of work on a weekly basis. Some people don't have that much time. They only have 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week to spare. So it's going to take a little longer. But, if you're willing to do the work in 3 to 6 months, man, I can't even tell you the different places that we can take you to that next level. And I see other people here. Jacqueline's here. Oh, and Ishan wrote a question, which is great. Ishan says, do some people need to put in more time and effort on their brand more than others? I understand that the good old my work is my brand is no longer enough. Great question. Do some people need to put in more time? Yeah, sometimes, because oftentimes the brand that you are trying to convey is more complicated. The target audience that you might have is, for example, needs to be more educated. So the other day I was talking to a fella, and he's talking about leadership, failure leadership, and one of the challenges of his brand is that his audience is not as receptive. So when I talked about personal brand 10 years ago or 15 years ago, people say, I'm not a bar soap. What are you talking about? And they were like, and I had to spend a lot of time educating them. Now most people are like, okay, personal brand, I get it. How do I do it? Right? So if your audience needs to be educated, it takes a little bit longer, a little bit more finesse to get there. But, it's not a huge gap for the most part. Most people just don't do the time. Like, honestly, working with you for 20, 30 hours, I can get you really clear on your target, really clear on everything. You've done all the due diligence of the work, your self-awareness, self-analysis, you know who you are. And that's it. Are you willing to invest 20 to 30 hours of your time to then create that brand and that thought leadership and that impact that's going to make you happy, fulfilled, and successful for the next 50 years of your life? That's really what it's about. And you're right, your work as your brand is no longer enough, because your brand is being set around you. And if you don't understand what it is and try to optimize it, it's not going to go well. You have to take the time to do the work. It's not just working. It's about what are you doing to put yourself out there and get known. I mean, everyone has a brand. Everyone has a reputation, right? But does everyone have a thought leadership brand? No, they don't, because they haven't put the work in to build it up that way. But we all have a brand. Once you know what your brand is, you either like it and you want to hone it and build it up, or you want to adjust it a little bit and be more clear on who your target audience is. And, my brand has changed over the years. Like, I used to be more on the networking guy, back in the day. And then I changed the networking. Then I started talking about personal branding. Then I started talking about social media. Now I'm talking about Clubhouse a lot, thought leadership. So, it does evolve with you. So I appreciate the question. And if anybody has any other question, I'm more than welcome to answer. What is Jennifer saying here? Jennifer says branding in and of itself is an iterative process. Absolutely. It's a part that already exists, and it's a part that you can actually work on to hone and understand on a deeper level, and then take that to that next level. We all evolve at different levels and times. It makes sense that it will take some time. Enjoy the journey of this learning opportunity. Yes, I agree. Like the idea here is that you want to work on your brand and your thought leadership brand, but it takes time to micro niche, to know your target audience, and even me, I work with my own coach, and then going through my customer avatar took some time. It took weeks and weeks of analysis and thought, and getting a lot of feedback from people, and trying it out, and diving deep into that stuff. So it does take time, absolutely. But the question is it worth it? Is it worth it to spend 20 to 30 hours of time to build 450,000 hours of fulfillment, purpose, and impact? Absolutely. So what's stopping you? And I'll tell you what's stopping you. Most are your excuses. The excuses stop us, right? So I have no time. Well, fine. See you next year when you're still frustrated and struggling, and you didn't put the time in. You can take the same argument for anything. Studying for an exam, getting more fit. I mean, my biggest challenge is getting fit and healthy. If I put 20, 30 hours of fitness and health work in the next month, would I be in a much better place? Absolutely. So we all have things that hold us back, our excuses. You'll either find an excuse or you'll find a way, right? So you'll either find an excuse or you'll find a way. And so whatever it is, love, health, career, business, branding, the test, everything like that, it's all the same. So you have to put the time and effort to doing it. And what I can tell you is that there's a few things you can do that are going to get you where you want to go. Number one, you have to work on your mindset. That's a huge part of any sort of growth and success journey. Number two, you need to work with a coach, because a coach gives you more accountability, more soundboarding, more focus, and they can 10x your results. Number three, you need to have a community of people that support you on your journey and are there as a mechanism for accountability, support, bouncing ideas, and just being part of that group. And the fourth thing that I think that will help you is actually knowing your personal brand, because a personal brand, again, has clarity and focus involved in the process. And if you do the deep dive work, that's going to help you too. That's the four things you need. But, most people don't want to hire a coach. Most people are too afraid to invest in a community. Most people don't have excuses on diving into the personal brand in terms of time. And then the mindset piece, a lot of people don't want to do that because they're afraid of what they're going to uncover. But I'm telling you, when you uncover that stuff with the right coach and the right community and the right support, it can be magical. So there you have it. Christopher says, yeah, mindset matters the most, Jacqueline. I totally agree with you on that. Christopher says, question, what's the difference between marketing versus advertising? Well, advertising is a certain type of targeted marketing to people, right? So if I put an ad out, let's say a Facebook ad, it's part of my marketing effort to target specific people with a specific message to help them, to influence them to do some sort of action. That's what advertising is. Whereas marketing is the overall experience of relationship building, customer service, promoting your brand, building your brand, getting the word out there, creating content, engaging. It includes the ads part, but marketing is the all-encompassing piece, right? You could argue that marketing is the entire customer experience, but the first time you see me here on Clubhouse or somewhere else, the entire thing, Bobby Umar is marketing himself to a certain extent. So marketing is a much more broader term. And let's see, Sanjay asks, how should one start to look at what they would like to focus on as a brand? You can't be everything. Well, yeah, I can't be everything. So yeah, and that's the worst part about branding. People you can't be everything to everybody. The first step to branding is doing the deep dive work. And I'll be just very honest with you, 90% of you won't do it. You'll try to skip it. It's the same with my clients, right? Every client I've had that I've coached or have gone through my programs and whatnot, they always want to skip the deep dive work of personal branding. And I'll let them. I'll happily let them, because I can't force them to do it. But what happens is they launch their digital marketing strategy or their career growth plan or their business lead generation plan across social media, and they have 45, 55, 65% alignment. And after 6 months or 6 weeks or a couple of years, they're like, you know what, it's not going the way I want. It's because they didn't do the deep dive work. If you could just do the foundational deep dive work of self-analysis, self-awareness, self-discovery, feedback mechanism, getting people to tell you who you are, find out your superpowers, know your target audience, micro niche. Then when you launch that business growth strategy, when you launch that career growth strategy, when you launch that digital marketing strategy, now you're 85, 95, 99% online. And that's when the magic happens. And so, the first step for branding is to understand that you know some of it, but you don't know all of it. So you have to dive deep to understand what it is. And then you have to decide what you want it to be. And so once you know what it is, you can work on a why statement, a purpose statement, a target audience, a mission, vision statement to help you really figure out who it is you want to work with. Because you can't work with everybody. Like I can't target everybody. I micro niche a certain groups that I want to work with. Now that doesn't mean I don't work with people outside that. I mean, the point is to be excellent for that group you serve. So typically for me, I typically serve 30 to 50, 55-year-old entrepreneurial women, leaders. That's who I focus on. But that doesn't mean I don't work with young people. Doesn't mean I don't work with men. I do. It's just a question of, that's all my messaging is targeted at that group. And then I do a really good job. And some men and some young and older people like it. And they also want to work with me too. But it starts with doing that due diligence to dive deep into it. Essentially, I hope that makes sense. Because it can't be everything. A big key is to micro niche, right? To micro niche and have a clear, targeted, and focused brand of who you are, what you're trying to do. So I hope that makes sense. And again, I'm probably gonna have to go now. But listen, if you have any questions, you can comment below on here when you watch the replay. You can ask further questions below. You can also find me across all the different social media platforms. If you want to join Clubhouse, you can check out my Clubhouse called Thought Leadership Brand Club. You can DM me if you want to build something there. Or DM me if you want to learn about my other programs or my other 5-day challenges that I'm doing. We're doing a really big one coming up on Thursday with it's a 6-week course on skyrocketing your business with Larry and Chris. I'm looking forward to that. But again, I do appreciate being here, and you can check out my other content. I post twice a day, usually in the morning around 8:30, and usually in the evening around 8:30, just like this one today. So I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for joining me. Wish you guys all the best, and I will see you very, very soon. Okay? So long. Good night. Stay safe. We'll talk soon.